A watershed moment for the families of the Nottingham attack victims. The Prime Minister confirmed a statutory public inquiry led by a judge will start within a matter of weeks. The thing the families have been calling for many months. This means that witnesses will now be compelled to give evidence, and it's the outcome that Emma, the mother of Barnaby Webber, who was tragically killed in June 23 by Kalakane, has been campaigning tirelessly for. And she was in that meeting yesterday at Downing Street, along with Barnaby's brother, Charlie.
And they both join us now in the studio. I mean, what are your feelings? It sounds like you've got the beginning of the start of what you want. What was the meeting like, and what came out of it for you?
It was surreal.
Was it?
Definitely.
But all of this is not normal. And we recognise that everything that's happened since that awful day...
Yeah.
We're in, like, some kind of alternate universe. But to sit there yesterday, Charlie said... it's like we're at a war cabinet meeting. I was like, hopefully it won't be.
It feels like it, because you've been battling
a war,
haven't you?
Yeah. And the word fight we use all the time. And, yeah, so I think that we were... You know, we were there yesterday. We had the heavy hitters, the senior members of the cabinet, and of course the Prime Minister and all of the families together. So we were hopeful, but until we heard that one word, statutory, I was trying not to peer at Keir's notes.
Everybody else will do in that cabinet room. They'll all be trying to read it
like
normally.
I was doing that, and it was just once he said that word. It was just... our lawyer said that he saw some light in our eyes.
So just remind people who haven't had to live this... Well, I mean, we won't even go with how it all started, because that is utter hell. But live this hellish fight that you've both been doing. Why is statutory so key? What does that give you?
Yeah, the words public inquiry are used so widely, aren't they? And myself included, until fairly recently, didn't really understand why a statutory inquiry is so crucial for us. As the lawyer said, it has to have teeth. And it means that all of the information, all of the documentation, all of the reports, all of those involved, we hope right from 2020 onwards, are compelled to basically tell the truth, but they're compelled to attend. And organisations, institutions and individuals will have to take the stand and be answerable across all of the different failures that there have been. And without it being statutory, without them being compelled to attend, we'd end up probably with what's happened with the Post Office, where that started as a general public inquiry and then quickly, slowly, that had to become statutory.
And Charlie, did you think when you were kind of in there, in the cabinet room, did you feel that that the people around the table, did they understand?
I don't know if understand is the right word, because as Keir said in the meeting, unless you've experienced it, you're not going to understand it. But he definitely had the right point of view on it, in my opinion. He was very adamant on getting the ball rolling. And, yeah, I think he kind of not understood but sympathised with the point.
Must be so difficult for you, absolutely fighting for what you know and believe to be right. But also, Charlie, you know, young man sitting there in that situation, having those conversations, I bet you can't even still believe it's real, can you?
Yeah, no, definitely not. It's like Mum said a minute ago, the most, probably the weirdest, surreal feeling, because in the first place, it's not where we should be. We shouldn't have to be up here. We shouldn't have to be coming on the news today, going to 10 Downing Street. It should have been over pretty much the second the court trial ended, the first one. And, yeah, it's weird. I guess, it's just the most surreal feeling, having to be up here and having to do all of this.
I think he's 17 now. He's going to be 18 this year. He was 15 when we had to tell him. And what Charlie's had to go through, what James Kumos had to go through, as the younger siblings. You know, they've lost probably the most important person in their lives. And yeah, I'm not going to cry. I'm not, all the emotions have been there, and, you know, I saw the tissues, but I'm not going to use them today, because because that grief is so overwhelming. It's so devastating.
But what you have been brilliant at doing is taking the grief and turning it into a determination to change things and to make sure that, as far as you possibly can, that it's not just about lessons learned, but there's action and change, and that's why you wanted this inquiry. So when you're thinking in that hard-headed way now, because you've made able to be both have kind of deep emotion, but also have that kind of purpose, what do you think this inquiry has got to look at? What is your top 3 things where you say we've got to look and change this? I know you don't want to preempt the inquiry, but what are the things which you think sort that out?
Yeah, I think that the statistics and what's happened in this country speak for themselves. That the NHS report last week, it was number 630-something or other over the past 30 years of an NHS report into homicide through mental health. I mean, that's over 600 have happened. You know, 2,000 people have been murdered through mental health related, and nothing's changed. All of those reports go on a dusty shelf, I think, and there's recommendations, but they seem to have been done in part, and they're localised to whichever trust or whichever police forces has failed, and that lessons learned and our unreserved apologies, it's a copy and paste I find actually insulting.
I agree.
So, sorry, in a waffle, to answer your question...
No, you're not waffling at all. It's...
You say I do.
Well, that's what they do to Mum.
Yeah, a lot of eye rolling goes on. But I think that this could you use the word watershed moment. I hope it's that line in the sand where things will properly change now, because it's that recognition of the failure on such an epic level across agencies, institutions and individuals that should be there to protect us.
Mental
we
health,
hear it
policing, how they work together.
Yeah, but and actually, this is an illustration of how they don't work together. And the Home Secretary said yesterday it's what an opportunity to speak to those people in the room about, you know, openly and honestly about how dreadful everything is and has been. But she said this culture. Within the organisations, within the police forces, it's got to change and there has to be accountability. Your questions yesterday, Ed, were to Alex Norris, I think, isn't it, the MP for Nottingham, and, you know, quite rightly so. Why are they hiding behind, the IOPC investigation? It's the media line, it's shut up, keep quiet and it might go away.
We've been trying to get the Nottinghamshire Chief Constable to come and talk to us.
She won't.
She doesn't have to preempt the IPC investigation, but the leadership thing to do is tell us, what do you now think needs to change? What are you changing already?
What are you doing? And not. You see, this is the Chief Constable that decided to hold a closed media briefing. And that's one of the many investigations ongoing. And it's not a witch hunt, but...
Something's got to change.
To those officers involved in the Nottingham force, to the officers and the Chief Constable at Leicestershire, I extend it there. You know, do the right thing. You know, you did fail. You didn't do your jobs properly.
Charlie, what do you think Barnaby would be thinking about his mum watching this? Would he be surprised at how brilliant she's been at this, or...
How you all been?
Well, I don't know.
Proud?
Yeah, he'd be proud. He'd be really proud. Especially if Mum, I think, coming out here all the time and fighting so valiantly for his cause, he'd definitely be proud.
He'd eye roll and make a snarky comment. I genuinely feel that we had those 3 with us yesterday. It's hard to... It don't sound woo-woo, but it just... Sometimes you just know that they're there, and you could... And, you know, I know how angry he is to not be here. And I'm sure the same, obviously, for Grace and Ian. But they can't speak for themselves. They couldn't defend themselves against this monster. So we will. But I hope that it will be a change where the public in this country, where we can actually be a bit safer. We can send our kids to uni. We can send them to holiday clubs. Your dad can go and do his job and look forward to his retirement without fear of who's lurking in the shadows.
And that's all we all want, isn't it? On every level. Right. Thank you so much for coming in, and we wish you well with your own personal grief, which I know
It won't bring
is raw
Grace
as anything.
and Barnaby and Ian back, but
No.
change can happen.
Yeah.
And there's more chance now, and that's because of all of your determination, so thank you.
And your support for letting us come and be heard.
Absolute pleasure to do anything we can, but thank you.